Hello everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to the 24th episode of this special segment on my channel in 2019, 007, A Bondiful Year. Guys, I gotta give you all a tremendous thank you for supporting me with this special segment for this year and really giving me the drive to watch all 24 of the James Bond films. I feel complete. I truly am now the James Bond fan that I should be. And today we are going to conclude to a certain degree, because thanks to all of you, there will be another episode of A Bondiful Year next year on my channel as we review the final Daniel Craig James Bond film, No Time to Die, in April of 2020. But for now, we're going to take a look at Spectre, of course, starring Daniel Craig, Ralph Fiennes, Ben Whishaw, Naomi Harris, and the great Christoph Waltz as Blofeld. I was so excited to know that Christoph Waltz was asked to play the Bond villain in this film. Not to mention the henchman Mr. Hinks, who is played by Drax himself, Dave Bautista. So, not only do we get another Oscar-winning song from Sam Smith, Writings on the Wall, which is without a doubt one of the most underappreciated James Bond songs. I actually think it is better than Adele's Skyfall, but that is no knock to Adele. There's just something about Sam Smith's vocals that are just so hauntingly beautiful, and I just love that song to death. But we get the culmination of the story that we started with Casino Royale, and in 2015, we finally get James Bond finding out who this hidden organization is that has been pulling all of these strings, causing all of this pain that James Bond has been suffering, and it happens to be the organization known as Spectre. Spectre hasn't really been dominant in the James Bond franchise. We pretty much saw the end of them in For Your Eyes Only in 1981. But knowing where the James Bond franchise had been and where it had gone to, thanks to the Daniel Craig piece of this franchise, it would have been wrong not to include Spectre in this story. And I just loved it. I mean, when I first saw Spectre, I even reviewed it back in 2015, I didn't think that it was as good as Skyfall. But now, giving it a second watch, I'm not going to say that it is better or worse than Skyfall, but I'm going to say that it is absolutely equal, just because this story is so rich and it goes directly off of Skyfall perfectly. Because one of the few things that I think is the most powerful with Spectre is the fact that it's more than just good versus evil. There is a bond between Blofeld and James Bond, which is deeper than you could ever imagine. Something that you didn't even expect. And the fact that they did add that little extension to Blofeld's character, we definitely get a deeper and more devious and terrifying villain in him. He's not necessarily a man of action, but he is definitely a presence in this film, and I absolutely love Christoph Waltz's performance in this film. I also really do like Daniel Craig in this film as well. I definitely think that it is one of his better performances, though I think in all of the James Bond movie that he has done at this point in time, they're wonderful. I also love the chemistry with all the other characters. Ben Whishaw as Q definitely has his best moments in this film, and he is just so funny. I also love James Bond working off of M, because this movie starts off with James Bond actually trying to fulfill a mission that the Judi Dench M actually left for him to do. And that is basically how he hunts down Spectre, but the thing was, he was not allowed to do so. It was not within the regulations. I do love the opening sequence as well. It starts off with a fantastic one-shot. Absolutely amazing. The movie itself is just a great watch from beginning to end. You are just so entranced in this story just because of how it all comes together. We even have Mr. White coming back in this movie, and this is where we also have to see James Bond bringing another character into his life, which is Madeline Swan, Mr. White's daughter, who is played by Leigh Seydoux, who is also going to be appearing in the next James Bond film, because after we see the final showdown between Bond and Blofeld, basically at this point in time, James Bond decides to just hang it up, take the Aston Martin and take Madeline with him and go on their next big adventure. And that is pretty much what got me so interested in what was going to happen next, because it has been a while since Daniel Craig has come back for James Bond's role. We didn't know what had happened to James Bond. Was he retiring? Was he married? Did he have kids? We don't know. But now that we're finally going to see his story arc conclude in No Time to Die, I'm just hoping that we're going to get all those questions answered. We're also going to get an amazing villain in Rami Malek. I am so excited to see him in this next movie. But Spectre is amazing. So much better than I thought that it was. And this series of James Bond films, I will say, gave the franchise justice, final justice, if you will, because after all the camp, after all the fading away, after all the passing fads and the changing of the guard, we got 4 truly amazing James Bond films, and a 5th one that is hopefully going to give Daniel Craig a wonderful send-off, and, of course, all the 007 fans will be on bated breath wondering, will it continue, and who will be filling the shoes next? But for now, guys, Spectre is great. I loved it so much, and I am going to be giving it 4 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Spectre. And once again, so thankful for all of you who have been watching since episode 1 in February of 2019. But in the meantime, I'll see you in April 2020 for the next episode. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.